Hello, my name is Travis Monk. This is one part of a series of videos involving cell biology. This video provided an introduction to cells. The picture on this slide shows different types of cells, their relative sizes, and some of their important characteristics, which are three of the main points of emphasis of this video. In physical science class and the chemistry and biochemistry units that you've covered so far this year, you have learned about atoms and molecules. Atoms are the smallest subunits that make up all matter, living and non-living. Hydrogen, oxygen, and chlorine are all examples of different types of atoms. When you combine two or more atoms in fixed proportions, you end up with a molecule. Water, or H2O, and carbon dioxide, CO2, are both examples of molecules. Some organic or carbon-containing molecules, such as the one illustrated to the right, are very important for the survival of living things. The specific molecule that's shown here is glucose, which is broken down in the human body for the production of energy that fuels all cell processes. The combination of many atoms and molecules together forms cell parts called organelles. There are many different types of organelles that carry out a tremendous number of different jobs for the cell. Organelles will be the focus of another video in this unit. Some examples of organelles are shown in different colors on the image on the right. Many organelles work together to form cells. Cells are the basis of all living things. Cell theory provides a few basic yet very important principles involving cells. First, all living things are made up of cells, from microscopic bacteria to plants, from algae to animals. The previous unit described all things living and non-living as being made up of atoms. This is also true. Keep in mind that all cells are made up of billions and billions of atoms forming different types of molecules. The second important principle is that cells are the basic units that make up all living organisms. The second important principle involving cells is that they are the basic units that make up all living organisms. Cells are shaped the way that they are and contain the structures that they do so that they can succeed in the world. Some organisms, like bacteria that we talked about earlier, involve only one cell, while animals such as humans can be made up of trillions of cells. A third important principle in cell theory is that all cells come from other reproducing cells. The picture to the right shows onion cells that are undergoing different stages of their cell reproduction, a process that's called mitosis, when you start with one cell and you end up with two identical cells. This process will be described later in the year. There are many different classifications of cells. There are hundreds of different types of cells in the human body alone, but all cells belong to one of two main classifications, prokaryotes or eukaryotes. Bacteria, very simple, single-celled organisms, are prokaryotes. Plants, animals, fungi, algae, everything else on Earth are eukaryotes. Prokaryotes differ from eukaryotes in a number of significant ways. One important distinction between the two is that eukaryotes possess a lot of different cell parts called organelles. These different organelles carry out a tremendous number of different jobs for the cell, everything from the movement of materials to the production of energy. Prokaryotes have very few of these cell parts as they are much less complex. Many of the important characteristics of these cells that I just described are illustrated in the picture to the right. In the previous slide, prokaryotes were described as very simple cells without many organelles. One of the reasons that they lack so many organelles is that they are much smaller in size. Most cells are very small in size. They're microscopic. Eukaryotic cells usually range from 10 to 50 micrometers in size, which is about 1/500th of an inch. Prokaryotic cells are smaller yet, as small as 1/10,000th of an inch. You can barely determine the shape of a bacterial cell under a typical high school microscope under high power because of their very small size. The reason that all of these different types of cells are so small is because they need to be able to get nutrients into their cells and get waste out of their cells at a fast enough rate so that they can survive. There are two important characteristics that can determine how fast something can move into or out of a cell, and those are the surface area and the volume of that cell. A good visual for surface area and volume might involve wrapping presents. The surface area of a present would be the amount of wrapping paper that you need to cover the outside of it. The volume of the present would be the amount of stuff that you could stick in the box. The smaller a cell is, the larger the ratio of its surface area to its volume. A comparison of different sized cubes is exhibited in the picture to the right. The surface area volume and the ratio of the surface area to volume is depicted for two different sets of cubes. The larger the ratio of surface area to volume, the faster stuff can move in and out. This is why humans are made up of trillions of cells instead of just a few dozen. It's not important that you understand the math shown in the picture to the right. What is important to note, however, is if you cut a cube that's 4 millimeters up into 1 by 1 by 1 millimeter cubes, that the surface area to volume ratio increases by a factor of 2. That is the end of this video introducing cells. If you're interested in learning about any other topics involving cell biology or any other themes of biology, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.